If you're a fan of science fiction, you've almost certainly heard of Iain Banks's Culture series. It's this legendary, sprawling, galaxy-spanning society, a utopia. But what does that even mean? What is the culture really? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. And we'll be using a fantastic PhD thesis by Joseph S. Norman as our map to explore this incredible world.
Okay, so the very first thing you need to wrap your head around is that the cultus is, by design, a puzzle. It's meant to be hard to pin down. Norman's thesis kicks off by pointing out that even scholars really struggle to define it in a simple way. And you know what? That's completely on purpose.
Get this quote is from the very first Culture novel. And the person asking this question, she's not just some random citizen, she's a referer, basically one of the most brilliant people in the entire society. So if she can't even define the culture, what chance do the rest of us have? Right from page 1, Banks is telling us that the culture's identity is the whole mystery.
And that mystery leads us straight to this huge debate that's been going on for decades. On the one hand, is the culture a true utopia, a perfect society we should be aiming for? Or is it actually something a little darker? Maybe a kind of well-meaning but still controlling empire that pushes its way of life onto everyone else? These two ideas seem like they can't both be true, and that's the tension we're going to dig into.
So to even start solving this puzzle, we have to look at the guy who created it all. The late, great Iain M. Banks. His personal politics aren't just a footnote. They are absolutely essential to understanding what he was trying to do with the culture.
And Banks himself was incredibly open about his goals. He wasn't just writing some fun space adventure. No, he was consciously building what he called his personal utopia. This was his vision for what a truly free and advanced society could actually be.
And his politics were deeply held. He was a dedicated socialist with some really thought-out left-wing beliefs. He was so fiercely against the 2003 Iraq War that he actually cut up his British passport and mailed the pieces to the Prime Minister in protest. I mean, that's serious conviction. His whole mission, really, was to take the space opera genre, which was often pretty conservative, and totally reclaim it for the left.
Okay, so how does all that political passion actually translate into the story? Well, this is where we get to the absolute core of Joseph Norman's thesis. He makes this brilliant argument that the culture isn't really a place. It's not an empire with borders. Instead, it's better understood as a series of ongoing processes.
The thesis gives these a name, utopian processes. Now, that might sound a little academic, but the idea is actually pretty straightforward. The culture is best defined not by what it is, but by what it has moved away from. It's made a bunch of radical breaks from the big problems that pretty much define our world today.
And Norman pinpoints exactly how many. 6. There are 6 of these huge fundamental breaks that really make the culture what it is.
And here they are. It's post-imperial, so it's moved beyond governments and borders. It's post-scarcity and post-capitalism. We'll definitely get into that one. It's post-human, meaning it's radically changed biology. Post-gender, leaving fixed identities behind. Post-religion, having outgrown that need. And even post-aesthetics, where art isn't a luxury item, it's just a basic part of life. Each one of these is a massive leap from something we consider fundamental. And you can see just how central this idea is to the thesis itself. This is a look at the actual table of contents from Norman's work. His entire analysis is literally structured around these 6 post-concepts. It's not just a side note, it's the whole framework. So let's zoom in on a couple of these to see how they work.
All right, first up, let's talk about one of the biggest breaks of all, the economy. Or, I guess, the total lack of one as we'd recognize it. We're talking about a world without work.
I mean, just look at this comparison. It's night and day, right? Our world is fundamentally shaped by scarcity, by work, by capitalism, by class. The culture? It's moved past all of that. It's a society that is post-scarcity, completely automated, and totally post-capitalist.
So how is that even possible? Well, it's because these godlike artificial intelligences, the minds, run everything. They, along with incredible technology, have made things like money, property, and even the whole idea of having a job totally obsolete. It's fully automated luxury.
Okay, so that was the economy. The second radical break we'll look at is maybe even more profound. This isn't just about overcoming economic limits, it's about overcoming biological ones.
And again, the contrast here is just staggering. For us, aging, eventual death, our biological sex, these are just unchangeable facts of life. And we live with a historical baggage of things like patriarchy. In the culture, nope,
They have total control over their bodies, their lifespans, they can change their genetics, gender is totally fluid, and they've moved beyond patriarchy. What this all adds up to is complete biological freedom. The citizens can literally decide what they want to look like, they can live for hundreds of years, and they can even change their sex whenever they feel like it. It's a total reimagining of what it even means to be a person. So, after seeing all of this, you have to ask, what's the point? Why does imagining a society that's so different from ours even matter?
Well, the thesis argues that the point is this really powerful idea from a theorist named Frederick Jameson. It's called thinking the break. And what that means is the act of imagining radical change so completely that it makes you believe that kind of change is not only possible, but actually something worth fighting for. It's like an exercise for the political imagination.
And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. Iain M. Banks wasn't giving us a step-by-step instruction manual on how to build a utopia. He was giving us a thought experiment, a really powerful tool to help us look at our own world, at all the things we take for granted, and to ask ourselves, why does it have to be this way?
So I'll leave you with this final thought. When you look at our world today and you think about how the culture imagined these huge, radical breaks from its own problems, what's the one big obstacle in our society that you think most needs its own utopian break? It's something to think about.